Charlie Moore here, charliemoretraining.com, along with my friends from Beyond the Range. I'm going to be doing a series of videos, tactical handgun for the civilian. These videos will be for those of you that have some experience with a handgun. You not only understand the four primary or universal safety principles, you understand the reasoning, the concepts and principles behind grip, stance, platform, the ideas behind cover and concealment, just a base foundational level of understanding of handgun operation for you to build on. I want to start creating in your mind the reason why I do something, not so much, which is also important, the reason how. So make yourself a substance matter expert of utilizing your handgun in a self-defense situation, and not a subject matter expert, meaning you memorize what someone else said or you memorize a technique. If you understand the reasoning why, if you understand concepts and principles, you can fix problems. Technique fixes one problem. Concepts and principles fix a multitude of problems. So, before we start, let's talk about use of force. So many things in our nation, in our communities these days, focus on using force. Two cases that are happening right now when I'm filming this video. We have the Arbery shooting down here involving civilians. Even though one was a prior law enforcement person, it involves civilians and utilizing firearms and utilizing force. And the other case involves not firearms, but in Minnesota, a use of force by a police officer. And then in the past, we also have the Ferguson police shooting. And again, we must understand when we can and when we cannot use force, deadly force. And the consequences for making an erroneous decision are lifelong and devastating. Devastating financially, devastating emotionally, devastating physically, devastating mentally, devastating relationship-wise, and devastating to communities. So it's vitally important you understand when you can employ your firearm, your weapon, and in this case, in this video, your handgun. In almost every state here in the United States, all 50 states, it is generally, and I'm paraphrasing, you may use deadly force when yourself or others, a third party, are in imminent and immediate danger of serious bodily injury or death. Imminent or immediate danger of serious bodily injury or death. Imminent meaning right now, right in this instantaneous moment, right now in this time and space. Not 2 weeks ago, not 5 years ago, now. That is the only time you can use deadly force. We have to start off with that. We have to understand when we can utilize this, because the consequences, the ramifications of using it incorrectly are massive, as I said. So, with that done and out of the way, these videos are suggestions, options. In no way am I trying to disrespect your training, your teachers, your whatever it is to do with your handgun operation. I want to give you options to consider. These are no way rules, regulations, or you must. It is just some options for you based on my almost 40 years of experience in the law enforcement community. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need, a place to train. I am in my upstairs office here in my home in St. Simons Island, Georgia. Wherever you can train, watch this video and practice safely. Speaking of safely, you will need 2 magazines, because this first video is going to be on grip and reloading in tactical situations. Grip and reloading in tactical situations. So, 2 magazines, no ammunition source. You will not need no ammunition. You'll need the source, thus the magazine, or a speed loader if you're a revolver carrier, or whatever you use to reload your weapon. But no ammunition. You will need none. Don't even have it in the area. You'll need your holster, or whatever you carry your weapon in. Some of you may have ankle holsters. Some of you have these newfangled thigh holsters, belly holsters, inside the waistband appendix, inside the waistband rear. Whatever you use. I'm using this one just so you guys can see it, but whatever you carry. And then the weapon. I am using a converted Glock 17. It is converted to fire only UTM or Ultimate Training Munition, marking cartridges or blanks. Only. It will not fire the intended ammunition of this weapon. So it is a safe weapon. It's already been cleared. I need you, before we start, to visibly and physically inspect your weapon to make sure it's safe. Visually, take a look. Physically, make sure it is empty, and I need you to do that 3 times. Good. Now let's get going. Weapon in the system, magazines ready to go for our reloading, as I mentioned. Let's get started with grip. Most of us in the United States use the thumbs forward grip. With my weapon, thumbs forward grip. Try to give you some different angles. Pretty common. I would venture a guess that all of you have used it, or at the very least seen others use it or know about it, because you are experienced handgun owners and operators. What's the purpose of that grip? What is it for? Basically, it is for accuracy and recoil management or recoil control in the target sportive environment in most cases, because it relies on the principles of getting as much behind the weapon, as much real estate behind the weapon as possible. Thumb high up in the back strap, and all the other words that go under the grip. That's why we talk to you guys about being experienced handgun owners. You understand grip. Thumb forward grip. It enhances, encourages, supports accuracy, namely shooting at targets for score, for group. But is it the grip that you will get and acquire in the big bang moment of a real life self-defense situation where you or someone else, as I started this video off with, are in the imminent or immediate threat of serious bodily injury or death? Is that the grip that you will acquire? These videos, this video in particular, will focus on when our weapon is in its carry mechanism, when it is not in our hand, maybe in our home or in our business or wherever you may be in a dwelling or building. It is in its carry device. So we got to talk about also is what's the difference between a range or sportive environment and a tactical, combative, or self-defense environment. Keeping into consideration that the weapon, the ammunition probably, and everything else, you are basically the same. Except for one major thing. That major thing is stress. Massive amounts of adrenal stress. Chemicals in our body that we're born with rushing through our system because we are posed with something that threatens our very being. Thus, imminent or immediate threat of serious bodily injury or death. How do those chemicals work the way they're intended by how we were created? They work by doing things to our body that make us better able to survive. Doesn't mean it's the right thing. It's just our body understands one thing. The amygdala of our body, its sole purpose is to survive. That's all it does. It doesn't think. It doesn't rationalize. It doesn't have critical thinking ability. It makes you survive. So with our body working, we have this massive stress coming at. What are some of the things we experience? Tunnel vision. My periphery is narrowed. Some descriptive, if you need to teach someone else, someone that couldn't get the video, or somebody who's training with you, maybe a 10 and 2 on an old clock if 12 o'clock is my center line. Maybe even narrower, tunnel vision. We have reports and we have seen nearsighted issues, depth perception issues, issues with our vision generally, auditory exclusion. I don't hear things. Whether it's someone giving commands or somebody surrendering, things aren't listened to, things aren't heard the way we usually do. We have the reduction or even almost complete loss of fine and complex motor skills, meaning the blood leaves our extremities and goes to our internal organs to survive, which means the operation of our hands, the dexterity, the sensitivity is reduced. And the list goes on. So, let me give you an analogy on maybe something you can relate to as far as stress and doing what you need to defend your life or acting in a case where your life depended on it. So in my training, I've been to the United Arab Emirates or the UAE numerous times, and one of the cities I've trained in is Dubai. And in Dubai, there's a tower, the Dubai Tower, and it is about 160 floors above the earth. If I had you on a ledge outside, would you be hanging on with thumbs forward grip? Would you have one hand in a line with the other? Would you have some kind of newfangled finger grip? Or would you be grasping that ledge with every muscle fiber and everything you have in your being to prevent yourself from plummeting to your death? You would grab that ledge with every single thing you had to keep yourself from plummeting to your death. You would grab that ledge as if your life depended on it. Because in that example, it does. Under stress, I've seen teaching thousands of law enforcement officers across the world. Under stress, people hold and grasp. It is just the way we're wired. We're hardwired to do it. It exists. So if it exists under stressful situations, we must think about it. As I mentioned, this is for you to weigh and consider how it affects the grip we obtain under that big bang moment of an event, of a life-threatening event, of an event where ourselves or others are in imminent or immediate danger of serious bodily injury or death. So let's go back and take a look at that thumbs forward grip. The reason the grip works so well is the puzzle pieces of our hand. Good grip with my shooting hand. I'm a right-handed shooter. My thumb, the space here is filled by my support hand, and I grasp and I get as much real estate down toward the targeted area, our intended target, as possible. And it works extremely well in the sportive and the range environment. But considering everything we've talked to this point, is that the grip that you will access in the big bang moment? Meaning, some of us, myself, I'm in my 60s, some of us remember a Jack in the Box. And as much as we prepared, when that thing popped out, we reverted back to the amygdala. We had fear. We got scared. It doesn't matter. The first time was worse than the last time you did it. But the big bang moment, meaning when the threat is beginning, when we have to access our firearm. I venture a guess the grip you'll get is that grip. And just like I did, when I'm filming this, I'm just going. If I make a mistake, my shirt got caught, we have to address those issues. Don't stop. Fix the issues, and we'll keep moving. That's the grip. That's what we're talking about. What happens under stress? Murphy moments, a very common term, meaning stuff happens when you don't need it to happen. Grasp. If the puzzle pieces don't fit together, does it affect that muscle memory training that I've done? Does it affect my accuracy? Does it affect everything about what I've trained hundreds of rounds and hundreds of hours on the range to do? It absolutely does. So you have to consider the grip that humans get under stress. You have to consider that it will happen. It is just the way things are under massive amounts of adrenal stress. So if the thumbs forward grip isn't ideal, how do I, at least in this video, or the purpose of this is, how do I practice? What can you do? Show me. So first drill we're going to do is very simple. I'm going to do it first as a demo, and then I'm going to do it with you and have you do it with me. It is going to be very simple. Again, our weapons are safe. We visually and physically inspected those 3 times minimum. And all you'll need to do is give me good trained trigger pulls. Good trained trigger pulls. Most of us that are using semi-automatics, you'll have the tendency to want to rack the slide. Don't worry about it. I just need trigger pulls. So the first one, you may have the action work. second, third, fourth, 10th, whatever, don't worry about it. Just keep giving me trigger pulls. My commands will be simple. It'll be draw, present, 2 hands, 1 hand, 2 hands, 1 hand, and that's it. And then I'll have some questions for you. Good? All right, here we go. Draw, present, begin, trigger pulls. 2 hands, 2 hands, 1 hand, 2 hands, 2 hands, 2 hands, 1 hand, 1 hand. Don't let me trick you. 2 hands, 1 hand, 2 hands, 1 hand, and holster. Good. Now, during that short drill, which I want you to not only practice dry fire, but practice on the range. You can record yourself saying 2 hands, 1 hand. You can have a friend or a training partner with you. But I want you to practice it. And I need you to answer these questions, and I need you to experiment with these questions. The other thing we're going to do when we get together in person after the pandemic and after we can train, no matter where you are watching this video, every state has different phases. So maybe you're training now, maybe you're still in lockdown. But when we get together, force-on-force training, where you have the ability to engage with UTM or similar airsoft maybe, marking cartridges, but you also have the threat and the stress, and in some cases the fear of having a little bit of pain-sensitive training coming back the other way, which raises our stress level. The best way to train for an event is the event itself. But since it's ludicrous at best to think we're going to put ourselves in deadly force situations, the closest we can get is force-on-force scenario training. Hard, focused force-on-force scenario training. So, during our drill, how many times, even though we didn't have recoil, we didn't have anything to worry about, no target in the area in front of us, no target, did you have to change your grip? Did you go from your thumbs forward grip when I said 1 hand and drop your thumb to grasp that weapon? And then change it when it went back. Some of you 50% of the time. Some of you 100% of the time. Some of you maybe none because we're dry firing. We don't have that recoil, but that's why I want you to do it live fire on your own or with a partner, and then we'll do it again when we see each other in person. So, if that's the case, that I must change the grip, and if it is the case that under stress I grasp the weapon this way, matter of fact, I would venture a guess that that's how most of you grasp the weapon, and most of you will when you're live firing and you have to transition to 1 hand for a multitude of reasons. Maybe the threat has attacked me with a bladed or edged weapon and this arm is injured and I must engage from here. Maybe I have my grip, the threat pops up and I have to secure a family member. Or maybe make a phone call, open a door, or a multitude of reasons that we have one-handed shooting. The grip that you get out of the weapon is the grip that you need to keep. Because there's another thing we don't take into consideration, sportive or range versus street, is the bad guy controls a lot, the subject, the suspect. Whoever is causing this, what is it? Imminent and immediate threat of serious bodily injury or death. He or she controls a lot. Where, when, how fast, distance. Everything based on their criminal action. So if you don't have time to make adjustments for grip change, to make adjustments for something I'm going to cover in a minute, the misalignment of our arms in the thumbs forward grip. Does it not put us behind the proverbial 8-ball in the arena of safety, effectiveness, and efficiency? It certainly does. So, let's do this. I want you to just take your hands and put them together, base of the thumb or the pad of the thumb of the palm together, kind of in the W. And clasp them together, kind of like a prayer position, if you will. And then I want you to punch that weapon out. Good. Let's do that again. here, here, here. And then I want you to take a look, and do it yourself without your weapon right now. The thumbs forward grip. Do we notice that my shooting arm has a slight bend because it has to? And this arm, my left hand in my case, my support arm, is slightly in front of my other arm. It's just how the grip functions. If that isn't there, or if it is there, do I have the time and the cognitive ability because of the stress to make that adjustment and still not put myself or others in more danger than I'm already at? Just something to think about. That's what this is about. Thinking, becoming substance matter experts in the tactical use of our handgun in self-defense. So, straight arms out, even for the most part, no bend in the elbow, or very, very little. Now, same drill. Make a fist with your shooting hand. I'm a right-handed shooter, as I said. And this hand, my support hand, my left hand, is just going to join. Its job is, as I told you, is support. It doesn't have a place to fit. It doesn't have to be in a certain configuration. It just supports. My middle knuckles kind of marry together, and I punch out. The thumbs just kind of, this one is already in its grip because it doesn't matter whether I have one hand or two hands on it. It's the grip. It is my stress or tactical grip, whether I'm doing one or two-handed shooting. It is the grip. This is the support of the grip. So now, with our weapon, grasp that with what we'll call the stress grip or the tactical grip. And just let our hands blend together like we did with our weaponless drill with just our hands, and punch that weapon out. Punch that weapon out. Good. Before we do our next drill, what kind of shooting have you heard people say that either have been or trained others is utilized in self-defense, tactical, or combative situations? If you're saying, I've heard point shooting or instinctive shooting, you're absolutely correct. And under stress, we don't see very well our sight picture until we have time, distance, and we start to win. So everything, like the Dubai Tower example I gave you, is punched out toward that threat. It is using everything in your body to defend your life or the life of others, as if your life or theirs depended on it. So let's take a look at the tactical grip, if you will, with our weapon, with my support hand, with the drill we started with, which is two-hand, one-handed, just giving me good trigger pulls. Ready? Draw, present, two hands, one hand, two hands, one hand, one hand, one hand, two hands. I almost tricked myself. One hand, two hands. And holster. So, again, do that on the live fire. How many times less, or maybe more, but I venture a guess to say less, did you have to change your grips, whether it was two-hand or one-hand? And if it's less, is that not giving you more time that you don't have to make up or fix if you take care of that probability prior to the threat of imminent or immediate danger to yourself or others situation that we've been discussing? So, the first part of this video, as I mentioned to you, is analyzing our grip, sportively or range work compared to tactical, combative, or self-defense work or situations. So let's take a look in review at what we covered. All of us know how to grip our weapons. You are the experienced handgun owners. That's what the reason for this video is. I am now presenting, as my goal was to present to you, options. Our thumbs forward grip is a good grip. I have no problem with it, and I mean no disrespect to you, as I said, or your teachers, but I want you to consider what happens under stress. So we took a look at our thumbs forward grip. Then we brought into consideration stress, how it affects humans in that big bang moment, or that moment of imminent threat of serious bodily injury or death. How does it affect us? And one of the things we talked about was grip. I grab things. I'm stressed. I don't have fine and complex motor skills, nor do I have my usual cognitive or mental ability to make adjustments for misalignment of something that I've practiced hundreds of times that may or probably won't be there in the initial big bang moment of a stress-filled, violent confrontation. So we took all that into consideration and we said, this is a grip, that is a grip. And then this hand marries to it as support. It allows me, one, to take into consideration and to respect the fact that I'm a human and I react under stress. Massive amounts of adrenal stress that many people, a vast majority of people, have never, ever experienced. And we must take that into consideration. We cannot safely say that it won't happen. So we took a look at how humans grip. We took a look at how the support hand works, whether it's there or not. The grip is the same with your shooting hand. The grip is the same. It permits instinctive or point shooting, if you like those terms or that term, effectively and efficiently, taking into consideration all the things we've talked about. So what I need you to do is practice a little bit of this grip dry fire. Get to the range if you can, legally, wherever you are during this pandemic, and do both those drills we did, taking into consideration a few rounds with two hand, one hand with our conventional or usual thumbs forward grip, and then the two hand, one hand drill live fire with the, let's call it tactical grip, stress grip. And let me know what you think. You can email me at charlie@charliemoretraining.com or give me a call or a text at 912-996-7200. Give me your feedback. And again, one, you have to be certain to a reasonable degree that you or someone else is in immediate or imminent threat of serious bodily injury or death before you consider employing, deploying, or utilizing your firearm, and in this case your handgun, in self-defense. It is a tool, an effective tool, and a great tool, but just like any other tool, it has its purpose. And as I said, the ramifications, the consequences of misuse or improper use of this tool, of this handgun, are lifelong, massive, and devastating for everyone involved. So train. I look forward to hearing your feedback, and get ready to have your magazines and your whatever you carry your ammo source in, and we'll do tactical reloading.